fans across North America have insisted they've spotted Presley out and about. In 1989, 3 so-called Elvis enthusiasts created the Elvis Sighting Society to monitor these apparent incidents. Some people have even claimed he appeared as an extra in the 1990 blockbuster Home Alone.
Hello! Welcome to Believe, the Conspiracy Theory podcast. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories, unless, of course...
it's the truth being revealed for what it actually is.
That is true. We are 2 comedians presenting a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories. In each episode, we bring on a fellow comedian. That comedian has picked a conspiracy theory that they want to talk about. It might be a conspiracy theory they believe, it might be a conspiracy theory they don't believe, or it might just be a conspiracy theory they think is batshit, and they need 2 people to make sense of it for them, and that is why we are here.
The bad boys of podcasting.
The bad boys of podcasting are here to help solve your problems, baby. Now, this is one of our Edinburgh live episodes, which we did earlier in the year, and they were a lot of fun, weren't they?
Oh my gosh, it was so great. I felt alive.
You felt alive?
I felt alive. It was brilliant.
And given how hungover we were most of the time, that was necessary, wasn't it?
Yes. And I was sleeping on a sofa. My back was very sore, and we're only just recovering. And we had the lurgy afterwards. It was terrible, but it was all worth it. We loved it.
Yeah, Fringe Flu, it's called. We had that for a while afterwards, but it was well worth it for the gold content that we have created in these live environments. If you would like to come and see one of our live shows, you can do that as well. We're going to be doing some more live shows early next year. Where can people find the link for that?
Just look in the show notes and you'll be able to find out where we're going to be performing, and you can come along, and we would love that because it was just such great crack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit different to the shows that we record in the studio. We also have a lot of interaction with the audience, which doesn't go out as part of the main episode, mainly because there's lots of litigious stuff that we can't actually put out.
We don't want to get banned.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a lot of fun. Also, if you want to come and see us do our own live shows, we are doing that. We're doing some solo shows, both myself and David, early next year as well. There are links in the show notes to any of those shows, and we would love to see you come along to those too. Now, where can people follow us on social media?
You can follow us on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Our handle is Believe Conspiracy Pod on those platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. It's where we put up exclusive content about the conspiracies that we've been talking about, photos, videos, loads of content related to it, and we want to know your opinion on those conspiracy theories. Let us know what you think. Do you believe? Do you not believe? Have you got the inside track on it? We want to know that stuff. Also, if you have any conspiracies that you would like us to cover, how would they get in contact with us?
You can get in touch with us via email at believeconspiracypod@gmail.com.
Yeah, absolutely. We will add those conspiracy theories to our list. And a lot of the conspiracy theories that we covered in our Edinburgh Fringe show are actually ones that were suggested by you guys. People emailing us, people DMing us, audiences telling us what they wanted us to cover. And we cover those conspiracy theories because we are slaves to you. Now, if you enjoy this podcast and you would like to help us out and help us grow it a little bit, you could do that. This is completely free for you, but it helps us out enormously. And if you listen to us all the time and you really like what we do, please go on to Spotify or Apple or Amazon, wherever you get your podcast, and give us a little 5-star review and maybe one little line, something like that would be nice.
Yeah, like the greatest thing I've ever heard, better than my own child's laughter, changed my life.
Yeah, I was lost, but now I'm found. Anything like that would be terrific. It just helps us grow our little pod. Now, up in Edinburgh, we had George on the tech. He was an excellent tech, wasn't he? As always.
He was.
Yes.
And he was a very good boy.
He was a very good boy. We're very proud of him. His annual review, we might have given him, no, we won't give him a bonus, actually.
No, we're not giving him a bonus.
No, we won't do that.
No. He was great, but we're not giving him a bonus.
But in this particular one, we did have a few lighting issues. Not George's fault, just the problem with the room. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you will notice that for some reason I'm in the dark and you are in the light.
Yeah, which is pretty much a metaphor for how we really
pretty much
are.
a metaphor for this podcast. Yeah. But don't worry, it doesn't spoil the enjoyment of it. And who was the wonderful guest that we had for this particular episode?
The diligent Harun Musho'd.
The diligent Harun Musho'd. Harun is a wonderful stand-up comedian. He ran and compared his own comedy club for a long time in London. He has taken multiple stand-up shows to the Edinburgh Fringe. This year he was actually doing 2 shows up there. One was Why I Don't Talk to People About Terrorism, and the other was Harun Musho'd Reviews Bad Political Memoirs, in which he reads out sections of bad political memoirs so you don't have to. And let me tell you, it is a lot of fun, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so funny because it's true.
Yeah. You think it's a parody? It's not.
No.
Genuinely,
No.
a politician wrote that. Anyway, if you get a chance to go and see Harun, please do. He always does something crazy and unique in his shows. He's a fascinating comedian and wonderfully entertaining one.
He is.
Yes. Now, we picked this episode up from the point at which we introduce Harun to the stage. And what is the conspiracy that Harun chose?
Elvis isn't dead.
Elvis isn't dead.
Still alive.
It's a classic.
Well,
he's probably not alive
probably
now,
not,
but
no.
didn't die when. Anyway,
Elvis isn't dead.
Elvis isn't dead.
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
You doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
Like if they're actually spraying something in the sky.
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Who is our wonderful guest?
Oh, our wonderful guest is standing at the top of the stairs. It's Harun Musho'd!
Take a seat, sir. Take a seat. Thank you very much. Oh, good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yes. You're the first person ever to come on the podcast with an iPad. That's excellent. That's good.
A very big iPad.
A very big iPad, yes. An oversized
those of you
iPad.
can't see that on the podcast.
Yeah, we do big notes, but you've gone technical. That's good.
I
That's
have,
right.
yes.
How's your Fringe gone?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
Got great Fringe. Doing 3 shows. One at 9:30 in the morning, which is probably the craziest idea I've ever had, called Political Breakfast.
Yeah.
Doing my main show, which is Why I Don't Talk to People About Terrorism. Yeah, quite. Yeah, that's it. It is what it is in the tin. And then I'm doing a work in progress all the way out in Leith, so I don't expect to see any of you there. Called Harun Musho'd Reads Bad Political Memoirs, so you don't have to, which is a public service.
Yeah.
I'm providing also the worst idea for a show I've ever had because I've had to read those things.
You're one of only 3 people that's read Liz Truss's biography. Aren't you?
I am indeed.
Yeah.
I have read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
So I'm. Yeah, that's why I'm not looking terribly sane at the moment.
Do you have a favourite quote from any of the biographies?
One of my favourite quotes is Prince Harry trying to describe his mother and ending up, she is like a light, pure and radiant light. And how can you describe light? Even Einstein had difficulty with that one. which of course he didn't, because Einstein's like quantum theory is actually Einstein's description is like Einstein's like quantum theory, which he won the Nobel Prize for. So that's kind of the level of idiocy we get in Prince Harry.
So what you're saying, you did absolutely no research whatsoever?
No,
Perfect, excellent,
no, exactly.
excellent.
Yeah.
Good. Anyone read it? No, excellent,
No.
fantastic. Okay.
Excellent. Come to the show and you can hear the worst bits without having to endure 3 weeks of reading it like I did, because I just couldn't do it any faster than that. It was just putting me off.
So conspiracy theories. What are your thoughts on conspiracy theories, conspiracy theorists in general?
I actually do a bit on conspiracy theories in the show, the Terrorism Show. I have a brother who's a conspiracy theorist. I think there's a big difference between someone who believes in conspiracy theory, a conspiracy theory, of which there are lots of people. Probably more than half the population will believe in at least one conspiracy theory. There's a difference between that and a conspiracy theorist who believes in so many. They're classed as a personality disorder and have a number of psychological traits.
Yep.
Harun, I'm sitting right here. Okay. So, yeah.
Are there any that you have an element of belief in?
I have fallen for conspiracy theories before. Like I did fall for the conspiracy theory that that Donald Trump got Russian aid for the election. I believed that one for a while. I don't believe it anymore. I mean, I think the Russians interfered with the election, but not necessarily with Donald Trump's help. So that's probably about it. I spend most of my time trying to persuade my brother that he is talking absolute rubbish.
What is it he believes? What does he believe?
Well, I'll to give you one. Moon landings are faked. So you believe that?
So they're totally fake. Kubrick shot those films and was in a studio, faked.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the film Fly Me to the Moon? Okay, it's a really good analysis of how they could have faked the moon landings but didn't. It's a really good film. I'd recommend going to see it. Does everyone here believe that we landed on the moon?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, yeah, good.
The thing is, with the Edinburgh
Thank
Fringe,
heavens for that.
it's a bright audience, isn't it?
What I will say is, I actually do believe we did go to the moon. I do believe that. But the footage that we see was shot in a studio. It's not the legitimate footage because it's lost. We can't find it.
I know you want to argue it. I'm just saying, trust me.
Yeah.
Save it. We've only got 50 minutes. I've known the man for years. I've had to deal with this on a daily basis.
I'm sorry if I triggered
No,
something.
no,
Oops.
Okay, so Elvis isn't dead. I'll give you a sort of brief overview of this one. This is a classic. I think we all know it's a classic. I think when you think of conspiracy theories, this is the one of the ones that you think of the most, isn't it? So the conspiracy theory that Elvis Presley did not die in 1977, but instead faked his own death, is one of the most enduring pop culture myths. It suggests that the king of pop rock and roll staged his death for various reasons, including escaping the pressures of fame, evading the mafia, or simply wanting to live a quiet life out of public eye. His death on August the 16th, 1977, of a heart attack stunned the music industry and devastated millions of fans worldwide. In the days following his funeral, speculation grew among a small group of skeptics that Elvis might not have died after all. Despite clear statements from doctors and a coroner that the 42-year-old superstar was dead, disbelievers were adamant that the gyrating, beloved baritone had faked his own death to go into hiding. Many conspiracies point to the inconsistencies in the circumstances of his death. For instance, some claim that the autopsy report and the details surrounding his death were suspiciously sealed. There were reports that the body in the coffin looked strange, and some even believe that it was a wax figure rather than Elvis himself. So, Harun, Elvis fan?
I like Elvis. I'm more of a Beatles fan than an Elvis fan.
Yeah.
My wife's a big Elvis fan.
Okay.
And I do like Elvis. I don't like 60s Elvis, which is not a popular era for Elvis,
Yeah.
I think. But I think there's a lot of hidden gems in that era. 50s Elvis, not so much 70s Elvis.
No,
but,
I don't think anyone's about a 70s Elvis.
Oh, my wife is a
really?
fan of 70s Elvis. That's her favourite period of
That's
Elvis.
the best costumes.
Yeah, they were the best costumes. Give us a cheer if you're an Elvis fan. Okay, a few people. Okay, target audience, perfect.
Hand-picked audience we got there for this conspiracy theory. Excellent.
Yourself?
I like Elvis. I like 70s Elvis.
Yeah.
Because I like all those weird costumes. Also, I'm a fat man, and he represented. And also, I tried. His favorite food was deep fried peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and oh my god. so good. So I like him for that. I like him for his culinary expertise. I also love Anne Margaret. Does anybody know who Anne Margaret is? Yeah. So Anne Margaret starred in a load of Elvis movies in the 1960s, and she is awesome. So if you don't know who Anne Margaret is, just look her up and your life will be better. I adore her. And she's the only person that was on screen with Elvis that didn't get overshadowed by him. She's that hot.
I have to say, he's talked about this in episodes before. She is.
I love Anne Margaret. She's hot now. She's like in her 80s. Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome woman.
Even as a gay man.
I just love a diva. What can I say?
So this idea that there was a waxwork in his coffin seems extreme.
Yeah. Why would anybody do that?
Well, that's the problem I have. What I don't understand is why would you do that, and who? Because surely for him to fake his own death, other people would have to be in on it, wouldn't they?
They would. And what's the point of the waxwork? Because why not just put earth into the coffin? Because let's face it, once they open the coffin, they're going to know it's a waxwork.
Yeah.
So no point.
Yeah.
Stupid theory.
It is a stupid thing. Well, that's that solved. Thanks for coming.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be doing a lot of that. I don't believe in conspiracy theories.
Shut it down. Off we go. What do you think of this one? I'm interested, David.
Well, I know someone that saw Elvis. Like after he died, and
no, you don't.
I know I don't.
No, you don't. You think you do.
So my father was a merchant seaman, and that sounds so rude saying that on Sunday.
We're so intrigued as to where this is going.
And he had a friend that had a drink with a guy who was Elvis.
Of course he did. Okay. So Elvis and the Mafia. One of the biggest theories on why Elvis Presley may have faked his own death in order to escape the Mafia, essentially. Gail Brewer Giorgio, the author of the 1988 best-selling book Elvis is Alive, recalled in an interview with Time how she posed through thousands of FBI documents to come to the conclusion that Elvis Presley was an American hero who had to go into witness protection. Yes. Do I know if Elvis is alive today? No, I don't know, she said, but I know he didn't die on August the 16th. So I think actually one thing we're trying to say here is we don't actually necessarily believe Elvis is alive now. We just think the theory here is that he didn't die in 1977, and this was down to his sort of mafia connections. Harun, have you looked at this at all?
I mean, there's another version of this.
Yeah.
So one of those psychological traits that conspiracy theorists have is mutual contradiction. I don't know if you've talked about that before. Belief in mutual contradiction. So in this case, I'll give you another example. In fact, there's an example. My brother, for example, believes that Osama Bin Laden was both already dead by the time the U.S. Navy SEALs got to him, and that he is. Also, he faked his death and is still alive and now married to Princess Diana in a ceremony conducted by Elvis Presley. This is a similar. There's a version of this where, in fact, he says he was both. Some people believe he was killed by the mafia rather than died on a toilet seat, while simultaneously believing that he faked his own death so he could escape from the mafia. And that's what's known as mutual contradiction. That's one of those psychological traits that conspiracy theories are prone to. I mean, of the ones, that is the most probably one of the more credible ones. Although I haven't read the book.
I'll give you sort of an overview of why this theory is there. It's because Burrows, who wrote this book, now 78, said the FBI enlisted Presley as an undercover agent in 1976 to help the agency infiltrate a criminal organisation called the Fraternity, which was apparently made up of dozens of racketeers. Presley volunteered, spurred by his love of America and respect for the FBI. According to Burrows, the author said the agency had approached Presley, became a member of the Fraternity, and apparent dealings with Presley over the sale of an airplane the singer had. But when Presley was found to be a mole, he was put into a witness protection program, citing what she said was evidence from the FBI documents and interviews. So he did tour the FBI. I think he did get taken around the FBI headquarters.
There's photographs of it.
Yeah, and he did talk about his love for America, his love for the FBI, and he did offer his help, didn't he? He said, if there's anything I can do to help. And I think that's sort of the root of this particular part of the conspiracy.
I mean, I read the biography of Richard Nixon, and apparently Elvis did genuinely offer his services to the American government, but they didn't.
He's an American hero.
But they didn't. Well, no, they didn't take him up on it.
They say they didn't take him up on it.
Yes, of course they would say that. One of the things I tend to do with this, and I haven't done it in this case, is research who Gail Brewer Giorgio actually is. Do we?
No, I did a bit of research. She's mental. That's absolutely fucking mental.
That happens a lot. Again, whenever you hear these conspiracy theorists, Google them. They almost always fall into one of three categories. They've been taken out of context, they've had mental health issues, or they're not who they say they are. And the example I've got is, again, back to the moon landings. There was a documentary, Fox News documentary, of course, where they had, for instance, a science writer who had no degree in science, no qualification in science. They had a NASA engineer who did work for NASA fixing their vending machines. So that's the sort of thing you get. And it's always worth looking at who's making the claim. And that's the big problem with this, is, as you say, she's not obviously not well.
No, but also how does Elvis Presley go undercover? He's Elvis Presley.
He dyed his hair. He wore mascara. He wore a lot of makeup. If you took off, sometimes he had a wig. If you take that all off, he didn't look like Elvis. This is maybe a bit of a dark one, but Gary Glitter. I don't know what happened with Gary Glitter, but when you saw his arrest photograph, he looked nothing like Gary Glitter. I appreciate that you're really young and you're like, who?
Trust me, you don't want to know.
You don't want to know. It's awful. But he weirdly was sort of a sort of pseudo Elvis as well.
Yeah.
Only he didn't die.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a conspiracy to kill him somewhere. Probably joined it, to be honest.
He's got back into prison, hasn't he, recently? He got out and he put straight back in. No, he should never got out.
Sorry, it's
anyway,
a different show.
Yeah, let's not take it down that route. The released documents outline the extortion cases. They also show Presley's admiration for the FBI. During a tour Presley took of the FBI's headquarters in 1971, the musician spoke favourably of the Bureau and offered his services in any way, according to an FBI memo. There's also mention of Presley's plane and a business arrangement involving the aircraft. Elvis experts say that the docket lacks evidence suggesting Presley is still alive. So there is some substance to this in the fact that he did visit it. There is a conversation of something to do with his plane. I think that all did happen. But I think the chances of him actually being recruited by the FBI seem a little bit far-fetched.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I know you don't know. Okay, so others point to Elvis's tombstone as evidence. So besides believed sightings, skeptics also point to what they insist are slip-ups from Presley's family in media interviews and apparent name misspelling on the King's tombstone as proof of the cover-up. The skeptics say Presley's middle name was purposefully spelt wrong. Aaron, which is A-A-R-O-N, instead it's spelled A-R-O-N on his tombstone, because putting his real name would have been taboo since he was still alive. Debunkers say the King started spelling his middle name Aaron instead of Aaron later in life. This doesn't really work when you're reading it, but you know what I mean. In a 2005 interview with Oprah, Presley's wife Priscilla was addressing how Presley spoiled their daughter, Lisa Marie. Skeptics believe Priscilla said, "It's exactly what he said the other day," before correcting herself and saying, "You said," to Oprah. So she said what he said the other day. Present tense. They also say Lisa Marie evaded Larry King's question during a 2003 interview when the host asked if she ever feels communication with her father.
That's because there's no good answer to that question without you looking like you're insane.
Oh, well, I mean, we're talking about Lisa Marie. There's a book called I Am Lisa Marie, written by a woman who says that she's actually Lisa Marie Presley, and the Lisa Marie Presley that we all knew and sadly lost wasn't actually Elvis's daughter. It was her. And if you look at the front cover of this picture, it's a self-published book. And of course it is. It's very hard to get, but you look at the front cover and this woman, you can see like she could be Elvis's daughter. But yeah, there's all sorts of crazy around it. And Lisa Marie Presley's album, she only recorded one album, and it's really good. See, no one's buying it. She married Michael Jackson. Come on, give her something.
I think that book's one for your show.
I think it might well be one for my show. Yeah.
I Am Lisa.
Yeah,
I Am Lisa Marie. Sorry.
But it is true about the tombstone. There is a misspelling of his middle name on the tombstone. That's quite famous. I don't think it's ever been corrected, has it?
No.
But I think what you said is right. I think he did start. He was spelling it.
He was spelling it
towards the end of his
differently
life, so it probably isn't a misspelling at all.
No,
just his own preference.
But that's less fun, Harun. So
yeah, I know.
You can stop shitting all over.
I'm not here to make you laugh. I'm here to debunk myths.
Another theory was that the King wasn't ready to go. One popular theory claims that Elvis was overwhelmed by his fame and constant scrutiny he faced as a celebrity. Faking his death would have been a way to escape and live peacefully. Supporters of this idea argue that his declining health in the 1970s may have been exaggerated to set the stage for his disappearance. I don't know, he looked pretty shot.
He did. Like, I am a fat man, and Elvis was a fat man towards the end of his life. And I have to say, walking around Edinburgh, I'm a soggy mess. This is not my natural skin color, this bright red that I am, but that's how long it took me. The show will be over by the time I calm down, So Elvis did not look healthy, and I can, recognize his life.
He was, because does anyone see the film Elvis, the Baz Luhrmann film?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. Do you like it?
Yeah,
It's a good film, right? I think because my dad's a big Elvis fan, so I did know quite a lot about Elvis, and my dad always talked about the relationship that he had with Colonel Tom Parker. And it really held Elvis's career back. He wasn't able to travel overseas because of Colonel Tom Parker. And there is one of the things that sort of root in this theory is that he was trying to escape fame, but also he was trying to escape Colonel Tom Parker because he had no way out of that contractual relationship, did he?
No, it was nightmarish. When you think of what a big star Elvis was, the limited things that he did is actually quite shocking. He only touched down in the UK once. And a stop.
He changed planes, I think.
Changed planes.
Yeah,
that was it for the UK. Yeah. Can you imagine if he'd played here once?
Who would have wanted to see him if he had? Yeah.
I don't know why I'm putting my hand up on the podcast, but there you go.
Well, the nice thing is he was bigger than Taylor Swift. So.
There's one specific example about the groundsman. I don't know if that's one you're going to cover. Because this is my favourite one, actually. After faking his death and disappearing, Elvis returned to live at Graceland disguised as the groundskeeper. That is the most stupid thing I have ever heard. What of all the places you would disappear to is go back to the thing and then be disguised as someone else. You'd be recognised immediately. So the Daily Express notes that attention recently turned to a ponytailed, grey-haired groundsman working at Graceland. The video clips of the man posted on YouTube are accompanied by comments suggesting a resemblance between the groundsman and the King, who would now be 83. It would be the Daily Express as well, wouldn't it? I mean, that is virtually the conspiracy theorist journal, really, isn't it?
It's a great story, though,
isn't it? It is a good story, yeah. But
the criminals often return to the scene of a crime, so it's a thing, isn't it?
You're way out in films, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they do it in real life, to be honest. Yeah.
So the John Burrows story. John Burrows was an alias that Elvis Presley reportedly used during his life. Elvis was, being a massive celebrity, sometimes had to travel discreetly, and using a pseudonym was one way to avoid attention. The name John Burrows was one of several names he allegedly used for such purposes. Are you aware of this one?
No, actually, because it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, Harun, you aware of this one?
I mean, I've read about it, yeah. So I'm vaguely aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the story of the plane ticket. So the most famous part of the John Burrows story, the John Burrows conspiracy, centres on an alleged incident that occurred either on the day of or shortly after Elvis's death on the 16th of August 1977. According to the story, a man who bore a strong resemblance to Elvis went to Memphis International Airport and bought a one-way ticket to Buenos Aires, Argentina. The man allegedly used the name John Burrows when purchasing the ticket. Conspiracy theories latch onto the story because Buenos Aires, being far from the United States, would be a plausible place for someone to escape if they were to try to disappear. Furthermore, the use of the name John Burrows, a known alias of Elvis, adds an extra layer of intrigue. There could just have been a bloke called John Burrows who flew to Argentina.
Who looked a bit like Elvis.
Elvis.
I mean, there are quite a lot of people who looked a bit quite Elvis because
Yeah.
there's a whole industry of Elvis impersonators. And I mean, it could have been Shaking Stevens for all we know.
Yeah.
He played Elvis
He
shortly
did.
after he died.
Yeah.
After Elvis died, not after Shaking Stevens died. Yes, they're still alive, yes.
I mean, it is very common for big celebrities to use aliases when they check into hotels. That's
Yeah.
the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So I can understand that. And it is also true, in fairness, that people, if they want to disappear, do go to South America quite a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that where Hitler lives?
That's where Hitler lives. Yeah.
It's also quite true if you're going to have a conspiracy theory about somebody going to somewhere, they would choose South America because that is the cliche place to go.
It is a good place to go.
That's where Hitler lives.
Yeah. Well, but it is true that the high-ranking Nazis, when they escaped at the end of the Second, or towards the end of the Second World War, they knew the war was lost. They ran off to South America, wasn't it?
There's German-speaking cities in
Yeah.
Central America, and they're weird. I think there's documentaries about it. So to check it out, like it's like, oh yeah, Hitler definitely survived the Second World War and went there to live.
And also there was a fascist junta in power in Argentina at the time, so that
Yeah,
would have been a draw, really. Wouldn't it?
But there's a lot of German-run businesses in South America. I was in a German-run hospital in Bolivia a few years ago because
Were you in Bolivia?
I was in Bolivia. Yeah, I had to have an operation, and it was and I didn't realise it was German-run until I had to have an operation, and everyone there was speaking German, and then I looked into it and I was like, oh. Run by Nazis, great, perfect. So you can't leave then, can you? You're in hospital. What can you do? But it's true. They went there. They started up a lot of businesses. There's a lot of restaurants. There's hospitals. There's offices. There's enterprises that are run by Germans. There's a lot of German-speaking contingent in that area of the world. I don't think that's got anything to do with Elvis, but I'm just pointing it out.
Bolivia is the 11th most corrupt country in the world. I happen to know that. This is a fact from my show. I know this because Liz Truss wanted elected judges in this country. And because she said it exists in other countries, and I looked that up. The only country with elected judges, Bolivia, the 11th most corrupt country in the world. Anyway, that's a little fact there.
Well, Liz Truss didn't have a lot of good ideas.
She had no good ideas.
No.
There's a whole book of bad ideas.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but you got an end of the show out of it, so someone's got to be
indeed,
grateful.
yes, I am.
Took 10 years to save the West. You know, like I've read a bit of the book because I'm a masochist, and she's talking about her electorate. Her electorate comes to her second day, Liz Truss' second day as the Prime Minister. And her electorate comes in and says, look, I'm at stage 4 cancer, like I have to leave. And just for context, there is no stage 5. So like it's not good, not a sad story. And in a book that Liz Truss put her name to and published, she gives her diary entry for that day. And at the end of it, she says, it was my second day in office. Why me? Why now? Let's trust everybody.
Yeah.
For an episode about Elvis Presley, we've talked an enormous about
How did
Liz
we get
Truss.
to that? Bolivia. It was
Yeah,
Bolivia.
Bolivia.
It's your fault.
It is my fault. You're right. Actually, I've led down that rabbit hole. Okay, so why Buenos Aires? Buenos Aires was and still is a larger cosmopolitan city, making it a reasonable place for somebody to blend in. Hard to say. Okay. The idea that Elvis may have fled to Argentina plays into broader theories about celebrities or high-profile figures escaping to South America. The region has historically been a destination for people seeking to hide, such as Nazis fleeing Europe after World War II. While there's no direct link between these historical events and Elvis, the idea of someone fleeing to South America for a fresh start is a similar narrative in conspiracy circles. And we have actually had that in a few of the other episodes that we've done, haven't we, about that?
We have, it's all a mega conspiracy.
Yeah.
Elvis still being alive, it also means that we didn't walk on the moon, means that the Loch Ness Monster is real, means that I will meet Bigfoot one day. You rolled your eyes there, sir, and you're absolutely right to.
In Buenos Aires?
Well, why not? Well, there is a South American Bigfoot. He's tiny. Oh, we're going on to another subject. Sorry. I will not derail.
That might be Elvis.
There's the guy down the chip shop swears he's Elvis. Hey. Anybody over the age of 40 know that reference? Sorry. I feel so sorry. You're so young, and I'm just like, this is kind of like a lecture at this point, isn't it? We're fun. I swear. We're hanging with the kids. Oh God.
You don't get this in history, do you?
No. My interior monologue is coming out. I'm so sorry.
So the John Burrows story relies heavily on anecdotal evidence and the reports of a few individuals who claim to have witnessed the event. However, no solid proof, such as airline records or confirmed sightings in Buenos Aires, has ever been produced. The story persists largely because it aligns with the broader Elvis death conspiracy. That Elvis, overwhelmed by fame, wanted to live a quieter life away from the spotlight. Supporters of the conspiracy theory also point out that Elvis was showed an interest in spiritual and philosophical topics later in his life, which could support the idea that he was seeking a way to escape his tumultuous life, fleeing to a distant country under an assumed identity fits this narrative.
Didn't Elvis start doing transcendental meditation towards the end?
Towards the end, yeah. He was good.
Anyone else done transcendental meditation? No, I bet you wish you were doing it now. No,
Argentina, place to be.
Absolutely.
What do you think that? Because I think with a lot of these conspiracy theories, when it is about somebody who you don't want to, who you believe isn't dead, it's because you don't want to believe they're dead. And I think that's when it's someone that's a sort of hero to so many people, someone who's an icon, I think people struggle to let go. And at that time particularly, I know he'd fallen from grace, so to speak, at that point, but he was still one of the biggest stars in the world, and he still had, and still does have, a hugely loyal following, and those millions of fans just didn't want to let go.
Yeah, I mean that's the classic reason why many conspiracy theories happen, isn't it? Is they want something to be different than happens, so they give themselves hope that this thing will come back and Elvis will come back. Another example, Prince Harry, for years believed his mother was still alive. That was just grief and not being able to cope with the fact that that's all that is. Because I mean, Elvis Presley was probably one of the when he died, he was one of the most loved figures on the planet.
Absolutely.
And people just couldn't deal with the fact he had died, and died in a fairly horrible way as well. So I think that's all that's all this is, a reaction to that.
Yeah. I wasn't sure where you were going with that Prince Harry parentage thing there, but
no.
I see. It's not the route that I thought it was going to go down.
I don't believe that one either.
Okay. Yeah. So Elvis sightings. Anyone seen Elvis?
My dad's friend.
Yeah, you're his friend.
No, he hasn't.
So over the decades, fans across North America have insisted they've spotted Presley out and about. In 1989, 3 so-called Elvis enthusiasts created the Elvis Sighting Society to monitor these apparent incidents. Some people have even claimed he appeared as an extra in the 1990 blockbuster Home Alone.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
The other one.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
Okay, so an airport sighting in 1977, just hours after Elvis's death was announced, one of the earliest and most famous Elvis sightings occurred. A man resembling Elvis was reportedly seen at Memphis International Airport, where he allegedly purchased a ticket. This is the John Burrows story, basically. This event is central to the theory that Elvis faked his death and left the country in anonymity. Some theories suggest that the man seen was actually Elvis himself, attempting to flee unnoticed. But again, if that's in the media, right, that's a global story. That is probably the biggest global story in the world at the time. And you're in an airport, and it's in the back of your mind that seed of doubt is there, and you see someone that looks vaguely like your hero getting on a plane. It's what you want to see, right? You're projecting something you want to see. Yeah.
I think there's a thing about pattern recognition as well. So humans have a tendency to want to see patterns when they don't exist. Not just conspiracy theories, we all do it. But conspiracy theories take that to a new level. So that Home Alone thing you were talking about. So apparently, because the Macaulay Culkin's character was called Kevin McAllister, conspiracy theories worked out that you can spell the words "I am Elvis" out of that name, which is the most tenuous piece of pattern recognition I think I have ever heard. I mean, what if you're going to do that? Why not just have a name that is an anagram of Elvis? That would make more sense if you're going to do that. So
Also, if you were trying to hide it, why would you do that? Why would you leave any possible clue?
Hiding in plain sight.
Oh, yeah.
So
This is the Riddler theory you talked about before.
Yeah, so he's still alive. He puts out those guest appearances to throw people off. It becomes ridiculous. And he's like, hey, like if I was Spider-Man, I'm not Spider-Man. But if I was Spider-Man, I would tell everyone I was Spider-Man, and then no one would believe I was Spider-Man, apart from the fact that I'm fat and I'm not Peter Parker. Anyway, my point is, you tell people the thing, and then that's how it hides.
Yeah, I have a different theory on that. Don't tell people that thing, and they're less likely to think you're it in the first place. Hiding in plain sight is another one of the most stupid things I've ever come across. It's the second place most people look at the plain sight thing, whereas being somewhere completely random is a far more effective way of hiding. Don't go to South America. Don't hide your name. And just go somewhere where nobody's going to think to look for you. That's it.
Yeah. Tell that to John Burrows.
Yeah, John Burrows must be very pissed off. I am not Elvis!
He spent his entire life wandering around Buenos Aires telling people he's not Elvis. Kalamazoo, Michigan in 1988. One of the most famous series of Elvis sightings happened in Kalamazoo, Michigan in the 1980s. In 1988, a woman named Louise Melling claimed that she saw Elvis at a grocery store. She said that the man looked older but resembled the king and dressed in typical Elvis fashion. Including his signature sunglasses. Around the same time, another man claimed to have seen Elvis at a nearby Burger King. These sightings made Kalamazoo a hotspot for Elvis conspiracy believers. And it is, the conspiracy believers do go there, for even now, today, for Elvis sightings based on these two sightings.
My favorite thing about Elvis being in a movie after his death and whatever is there's a movie called Death Becomes Her, and at the end there's a group scene of all these celebrities that have survived because of the magic formula in Death Becomes Her. Death Becomes Her is a great film. I really recommend it. And there's Elvis in that, and they say that's really Elvis. That's one of the conspiracy theories. And the thing is, I don't think the guy playing Elvis looks like Elvis in that movie. So it was like, it's just crazy.
So Elvis at Graceland. This is in 1989. So this actually I think plays into what you were saying earlier, Harun. So some conspiracy theorists believe that Elvis never left his famous Graceland home. In 1989, a photo began circulating that purportedly showed Elvis sitting in the Graceland grounds, alive and well. The man in the photo, who is sitting behind a screen door, bears a resemblance to an older Elvis. While the image is blurry, what a surprise. Believers argue that it is definitive proof that Elvis is still alive and living in secret at his estate. You know how we talked about hiding in plain sight being the most obvious place to look?
There you go. I mean, that is an example of that, isn't it? It's just who would do that?
Yeah.
You'd have to be very stupid.
Has anyone been to Graceland? Has anyone visited it? No? Because I've heard it's a bit of a shithole.
No, I've heard it as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much smaller than you think it's going to be, and very gaudy.
Yeah.
But not in great taste. Yeah, so I've heard that. And
The place where Elvis lived wasn't in great taste.
No, I know. And if he was the groundsman, he apparently did a very poor job of being of doing that. So maybe it was Elvis, because he certainly wasn't a proper groundsman.
So the Home Alone cameo, which you mentioned earlier, one of the strangest Elvis sightings involves the 1990 film Home Alone. In one scene, a bearded extra standing in the background during an airport scene is said to resemble an older Elvis.
I love this.
You're going to go back home and watch it. Conspiracy theories claim that the man is indeed Elvis Presley, making a subtle appearance years after his reported death. Although this claim is widely dismissed and likely a case of mistaken identity, it has become one of the most bizarre sightings in popular culture. I sort of tried to find a freeze frame of this. I mean, it's dodgy as fuck, isn't it? I don't quite understand why they're looking for that in Home Alone, though.
Well, apparently what happened was someone was watching it in the cinema and went, "Oh my God, that's Elvis!" Like they disturbed the performance, but that's Elvis. But they might have been having a psychotic break. Do you know what I mean?
There's no might about it, to be honest. At the very least, it's mistaken identity.
Do we like this? Like, so is this like a fun one? I think this is like it's inoffensive theory. This one, isn't it? It doesn't harm anyone. I think this one. Like, if people go, we talked about this before about people who go looking for Bigfoot on the podcast. It doesn't really harm the world if people go looking for Bigfoot. Whether Bigfoot exists or not, they're having fun. They're going out. They're doing it. People going out for looking at Elvis sightings, going to this place in Michigan. Does it really matter that much?
I think probably not. I mean, to me, this kind of thing is kind of borderline as to whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, or it's just it has many, certainly at least has the many of the same traits as a conspiracy theory, apart from the fact that I normally associate conspiracy theories with being something evil, whereas this clearly is fairly harmless, but more harmless than Bigfoot. At least if you go looking for Bigfoot in mountains, you might fall and crash.
Yeah,
you might fall and die.
Or find Bigfoot.
Or find Bigfoot, yes, indeed, yes. And then have a heart attack from the shock. Yeah, indeed. So no, I think this is a relatively harmless one, but the problem with it is though, if some people who believe that are likely to believe in other conspiracy theories and less harmless ones as well. So it's usually a rabbit hole thing with this kind of thing. So this one itself is okay, but the fact that you believe it means you're more likely to believe in others that are a bit more dangerous to believe.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It could like the touch paper, but there's certainly a contingent of people who do just believe in this conspiracy. It's not as common with this one that people believe this and a load of others. Whereas with things like aliens, Bigfoot, crypto, all that sort of stuff, we found that they tend to form one major conspiracy, don't they?
One mega conspiracy.
Yeah, one mega conspiracy.
They're trying to get us now.
The conspiracy theory of conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple of more modern sightings. Legoland in 2015.
Oh, I've not heard this one.
In 2015, a British tourist visiting Legoland Windsor Resort claimed to have seen Elvis Presley walking around the theme park. The tourist said that the man was dressed in casual clothing but had the distinctive look and swagger of Elvis, albeit older. While the sighting was not widely publicised, it added to a long list of alleged Elvis appearances in random locations around the world.
Can I just check, did they try and break his arm off or something? Because he might have been just a Lego Elvis.
Yeah. I mean, if you, to be honest, if you thought you saw Elvis in Legoland, you're on something, aren't you? So there's quite a strong chance it's a Lego version.
What are you doing in Legoland?
Yeah, what are you doing in Legoland in the first place? Yeah.
What we'd all be doing in Legoland. It's a wonderful place. He's travelling, he's free, he's retired.
I quite like the other side, but the most recent sighting is the most recent sighting. No, it's the most recent sighting. Is in 2017. His reappearance on its 82nd birthday. So on January 8th, 2017, which let me say is also my birthday, and that of David Burrows. Just saying. Greatness. During what would have been Elvis's 82nd birthday celebration at Graceland, a photo surfaced showing a man with white hair and a white beard standing among the crowd. The man bore a strong resemblance to what some might imagine Elvis would look like if he had aged naturally. The man was wearing a hat and sunglasses, and conspiracy theories claim that this was Elvis returning to his former home on his birthday. The image was widely circulated among conspiracy groups who saw it as further evidence that Elvis was still alive.
Hat, sunglasses, beard, and they think it's Elvis.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Or a man who loves Elvis just standing outside Elvis's house.
Or just somebody walking by.
Yeah.
Elvis is for all we know, yeah.
I mean, okay, I've got a question for all of you. If he didn't die in 1977, do we think he's still alive now? No. Right, okay.
Yeah, no, yes, if he did fake his own death, chances are he's died since then. I mean, he was a very unhealthy man, even if he didn't die then. So unlikely to have reached 82. Also, pop stars die younger than most. Apparently, a disproportionate amount of pop stars die before the average age in which people die. So unlikely to have reached that age, I'd say.
Although you said Taylor Swift's going to live forever.
Of course she's going to live forever.
Yeah, she probably will live forever as well.
I can't do without Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And Madonna might have died, we don't know.
Madonna might have died, although it was her birthday on the 16th of August, which is...
I think by now she's probably replaced herself with plastic.
So Elvis at his own funeral. One of the more morbid claims is that Elvis himself attended his own funeral in disguise. Some theories suggest that a man with long sideburns and glasses, seen among the mourners, was actually Elvis watching the proceedings. This claim is based on blurry photos and speculation rather than any hard evidence, but has become a popular point of discussion in conspiracy circles.
Well, if Huckleberry Finn can do it. That's a literary reference just to show that I've got a brain.
It's an arts festival. I mean, that's audacious if you did that.
Oh. Well, what's the point in faking your own death and not going to your own funeral?
I have to say, I would do that.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, Michael Jackson was at his own funeral.
Yeah. You want to know what people are saying about you, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Do we think that's feasible?
Do you think he was there carrying a plastic waxwork to put into the grave?
Just slipped it into the coffin where they weren't looking. I mean, that one does seem. To be honest, they all seem absolutely ludicrous. But again, it's about seeing what you want to see, isn't it, and believing what you want to believe.
Yes. But it's very, very interesting way that we have this thing. We don't want people to die. I mean, obviously, we don't want people to die, except like Liz Truss, maybe. But
that's a bit dark.
Bless it. No, we don't.
Well, there are bad people in the world, but also there's the people that we love. Like, I will be devastated when Madonna dies because I'm a Madonna gay. I don't know if you've noticed, but I am. But I'll be devastated when Taylor Swift dies, when Kylie Minogue dies. Like, I don't want that to happen, but also, I hope it happens before me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's a bit dark. Can I share something?
Of course.
Okay. So, it's really great that you guys are here. I really love that you're here. I really did mean I love you all deeply at the beginning. But I've got something to share. This is very Edinburgh, by the way. So 3 years ago, I was rushed into hospital on this day. And I nearly died. I spent 24 days in hospital, and now 3 years later, I'm in one of the best rooms in the Edinburgh Fringe talking to you guys, and I can't believe that that's true. So thank you very much for making something that I didn't think I would ever see happen. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Unless it's not really him.
Dark glasses.
Yeah, exactly. It's got them on, actually. Yeah.
Does anybody want to take a blurry photograph?
There we go. Leave them on for the rest of the episode. So the Elvis death conspiracy reflects the deep cultural impact of his legacy, and the idea that someone so iconic and larger than life could simply disappear overnight seems hard for some fans to accept. Theories about Elvis still being alive continue to intrigue people, but they remain speculative and lacking any substantial proof. So, Harun, did Elvis die in 1977?
Of course he bloody did.
David, did Elvis die in 1977?
No, he was an American hero. He worked for the FBI.
Okay. Lovely audience, did Elvis die in 1977? Yeah. Is there anyone here that believes he didn't die in 1977 apart from David? Excellent, good. You need to change your medication.
Have you ever won any of these?
No.
Okay.
Harun, would you like to tell these lovely people where they can come and see you, also where they can follow you online, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so my name Harun Musho'd. It's an Arabic name. Good news is I can't fly a plane. Bad news is my rucksack's over there. If you don't like that joke, don't come to this show. Why I don't talk to people about terrorism. And I told you I was doing a work in progress called Reed's Bad Political Memoirs. Worst idea for a show I've ever had. I am going to turn it. I'm adapting the show because I wasn't expecting an election before this Fringe. So for next year, I'm gonna turn it into a show called Harun Musho'd's Brief History of the Last Conservative Government in Their Own Stupid Words.
Also, where can people follow you online?
My name Harun. If you just search Harun Musho'd, all one word, almost all of my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, as much as I still use it because it's turned into a right-wing shithole. So that's my Twitter handle's Harun Musho'd, all one word without the apostrophe.
Lovely stuff. Now, would you all like an Elvis joke to end the podcast? Yeah. All right. Why did Elvis join the army? To look for suspicious minds. That's why you come to the Fringe, people. Thank you very much for coming. You've been an absolutely amazing audience. See you hopefully later on this week.
Please like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. The more lovely subscribers we get, the more episodes we'll make. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok for regular updates and exclusive videos at Believe Conspiracy Pod. We love you. Bye!